Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. This is me from EnvoyXtreme. Here I'm going to investigate silage additives for the forage harvesters and see how much they actually yield. If this is what you're looking for, then please stay tuned. I'm not Baron, and we're going to do a little test on silage additives that you can add to the forage harvesters or a loading wagon. And if we have a look in the help menu under chaff and silage, on the first paragraph at the bottom it says filling bond silage into a forage harvester increases the yield by another 5%. Obviously in FS22 there's many ways you can increase the yield of your crop. So we're going to do a solo test. We're going to do two tests, one with silage additive and one with no additives. To set up this test, this field has been fully fertilized, it's been rolled, it's been mulched, it's pretty much had everything done. It's been ploughed, limed, all sorts. Also we've, as a precaution, turned off everything. So if we go up here, so seasonal growth is no, 1 day month, July we set the fixed month. There's no crop destructions off, ploughing is off, field stones off, lime is off, weeds are off. And what we did all that first of all, then we turned it off. So in this test the only variable would be the silage additive. So we'll hop into our first contender, the John Deere 9900, and what we're going to do is see how much this actually yields. So let's say if this yields 50,000 litres of chaff, that means the silage additive should give us 55,000 litres. So I'm going to put the pipe. The capacity of the trailer in question we are using is 55,000 litres. So if we go over that, we'll get another trailer, fill it up, and then we'll add it all together at the end. So it's going to be a fair test. So what I'm going to do now is simply scene one here. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do our first test here, and then I'll come back to you folks once we are done. So I think we're going to need another trailer. If so, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, we're going to get this done, and I'll see you folks in a moment. With no silage additive, and if we go to the multi-fruit silo, we've got 148,997 litres of chaff. Let's just say, for sake of things, let's round it up to 149,000 or 150,000. So in that case, when we use the silage additive, we should get another 5% of that. And 5% off 148,997 will bring the total amount of chaff to a total of 156,447 litres, or let's just say another 7,500 on top. So if we get around 157,000 region mark, then we know the silage additive does add 5% of yield bonus. So let's get this reset, and then we'll come back, and this time we'll use the silage additive. So here we are folks, ready for the second test, and as before, everything's been fully fertilised, everything's had mulching done, pretty much everything you can do to increase your yield in FS22 has been done. So again, the only factor would be the silage additive, and yes, it's got 20 litres in here, but that will last a fair while, so we won't have any issues with running out. Also, I'd state that when I do these tests, I fill the trays up to 70 to 75%. That is because once you hit about 80 to 90%, get, I'm not sure if it's actually spillage, but the animation will see chaff going out to the side or not going to the trailer at all. So just for sake of fairness, that's what I've done. So make sure it's about 70-75% full before loading it into the bunker silo, or in this case our normal silo. So yeah, we're gonna get this done, and I'll see you folks in a short moment. So, alright folks, test 2 has been completed, and yeah, numbers do not add up. So if we go into here, remember our initial yield was 148,997. So if the 5% yield increase was correct, we should be getting 156,460, sorry, 447, round up to the nearest decimal place, whole number. However, going to here, we got 151,845 litres, so doing the math, that is a percentage difference of 1.92513%, so less than half of what we should be getting. So, and I don't know what the exact factors are. We've got every single grain. We did the exact same thing. Everything's been mulched, because what I did was I did everything before we seeded, saved the game, seeded it, make sure it was make sure it had 2 stages of fertilizer, and yeah, so everything was done correctly. So I don't know what's going on here. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to do at least one more test, and I'll come back with my findings. Alrighty folks, so yeah, I ended up doing a lot more testing because I was getting some really odd results. What I'm going to do now is somewhere I'll put up an image of what we've done, like the results from that. And pretty much, yeah, obviously the control, that was our first test with no additives whatsoever. We got just shy of 149,000 litres, and then that was planted in January, as with all the other tests were. We harvested in July. However, tests 2, 3 and 4, 3 and 4 repeats of test 2, which was with the silage additive. And we got different months. Test 2 we harvested in November, test 3 we harvested in October, and test 4 we harvested in September. And whether or not it has impact on the yield, I don't know. Obviously with the second test with the additive, we only got, what was it, 1.9582% of a yield bonus. All the other tests were fairly consecutive, between 4.8 or 4.9 I think it was, and 3.8. Yes, admittedly on a 150,000 litre test, there is a bit of leeway of about 500 litres, so about half a percentage. I would say there is a bit of leeway of any little tiny spills. Even when you take into consideration, the average is about 4%, so does using silage additives give you a 5% yield bonus? Yes and no. Yes, because obviously we got 4.9%, so that is true within the margin of error of 0.2%. Sorry, 0.02%, and the others were about 4%, and again, half percent of that you can say we've lost from, as I previously stated. For the last 3 tests, we did test 2 repeated, and 6 and 7 we did workers. So we've got the workers doing it. Got 2 harvesters, both filled up with silage additives, and I thought let's just try that, see what the workers do, and they got pretty similar results of about the high 140, 154,000s into the 800s and that. So that's a yield of about, again, 4%, 3.9 when you average the two tests. And to explain why we got a huge harvesting gap in tests 2, 3 and 4, I'll explain it in a separate video that will come out on the same day as this, but just a quick explanation is when you harvest or plant stuff, there is a certain cycle. So for example, at a certain time, all the growth states will change. So for example, let's fast forward till tomorrow morning, and then I'll quickly show what I mean, folks. Of February, and obviously it hasn't hit its second growth state. That's because it's been less than 24 hours. But if we fast forward time a bit, if we go to growth in that, eventually you'll see this start changing from north to south. And I think when I was doing it, it was around about 6:30. So for example, see here, obviously it goes from north to south every so often. It's like a clock cycle where if you plant in a certain window, let's say if the change was at 7 o'clock and you planted at, I don't know, 6:45, technically you could go into the second growth state within that first game hour. Does that mean you sped up? No, it does not. It's just how Farm Simulator works. In FS19, this was a very common thing, so we'll leave that be for the time being. I'll explain more in depth in the second video I'm going to do about this. So yep, simply, using Silage Additive will give you a yield bonus of about 4 to 5% based on my own testing. This was 7 tests that we did. One of them, you could say, was a bit of a weird result due to external factors, as previously explained. But yeah, I do think Silage Additives is worth it, because we hop into here. When we did this entire field on our own, we used about 17-20% of the Silage Additive, so that could do this harvest 5. The actual cost for a single pallet is about 2 grand. Or sorry, coming up to 3 grand. You can buy one at a time. They'll come in 60-litre crates, and that will last you 15 harvests or on this field here. So if that lasts you 15, let's zoom in a bit. So if that lasts you 15 of that width, just imagine if you say you did this entire area over here of corn or sunflower or whatever that you could use to make chaff. Yeah, so it's definitely worth it. I do recommend using the Silage Additive. Obviously, we did a bit of extra things to make sure all the other factors were bang on to the max, so take this as you wish. But anyways, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you found this helpful and informative in some way, shape or form. If so, consider smashing that button. Feel free to comment down below. If you want to share some, please be my guest. Not subscribed to the channel yet, then please consider. But, whatever you choose to do, hope everyone has a nice day. But for now, this is me Farmer EnvoyXtreme, and I'll see you all very soon.